ESPN 1080.com Insider Special, the U.S. Open Tennis Preview here on ESPN 1080.com. I'm Eric Lopez, and Buckman, our producer, as well as Victor Anderson, and we are joined by our tennis guru, a man who's covered college tennis for the University of UCF, we'll call Rice, SEC, covered the pro game, more importantly, Matt Dunaway. Matthew, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Eric. It's very exciting as the hard court season is in full gear, and North America and the U.S. Open should be very exciting as everything gets going. Hopefully that hurricane will pass and everything will go off as scheduled to plan for Monday.
Do you like the opening there? You went with the old mid-late 80s, early 90s CBS U.S. Open theme there.
I did like that. It reminds me of many, many Labor Days spent watching wall-to-wall coverage.
Back when American tennis was big-time significance, which we'll get into later on. They're not as much, but maybe a little resurgence. We'll see. So we're going to preview now the men's and the women's draw here in the U.S. Open. It begins this week. It's ongoing. We will go in-depth. And, Matt, let's start with the top story, of course. We begin at the top in the men's draw. The number one seed, Novak Djokovic, having a historic year. Only 2 losses on the year. Winning the Australian Open, Wimbledon, has got the number one ranked player in the world, 5 Masters Series championships. But in his last tournament in Cincinnati, he retired in the second set against Andy Murray as he hurt his shoulder. How concerned are you about his shoulder, Matt?
I'm not concerned about Djokovic's shoulder. I mean, he's taken the entire week off. He's a player that, is going to grind out a lot of different situations. And over the course of a Grand Slam, a 2-week event, there's rest built into the tournament. So not until the second week will he have to maybe play on back-to-back days. So for Djokovic, I mean, it's a little bit of a nagging injury. It's a little bit of an occurrence. But looking at his draw, he should be okay to get to the second week. Now, once he gets to the second week, all bets are off because there are some talented players. But, Djokovic, it's tough to bet against him to exit the tournament early with only 2 losses on the season and really only 1 legitimate loss because you mentioned, the retirements of Murray.
Of course, Djokovic playing a lot of tennis. When you win a lot of matches, you play in a lot of tournaments. You play in a lot of finals. That has taken a role. Let's hear from Novak on that matter, the fact that he's been playing a lot of tennis.
It's so many matches this year. I've been winning, a lot and reaching the final stages of each event that I've participated on. And considering the schedule that is very busy in tennis, it's kind of normal to expect that at some stage you are exhausted. But as I said, I'm confident that I can recover and be ready for US Open.
He's confident he'll be ready to go, but that's been obviously one of the main topics in tennis over the years. Too much tennis. Is there enough of a break, especially in the hard courts, the grueling hard courts here in the summer and now in the fall? Your thoughts on the schedule? Does that take it to that part where the blame is?
Well, there's no secret that the travel schedule in tennis and how many tournaments and events there are throughout the season is a grind. And it's almost a formula of how the top players, especially on the men's side, the Djokovic, the Federers, the Nadal, the Murrays, they have their formula of, okay, after the French Open, after Wimbledon, I'm going to take 3-4 weeks off to get ready for this hard court season. And the same can be said at the beginning of the year so they don't burn themselves out after Australia. A lot of the top players, take a month or so off before those Masters Series events go in Monte Carlo and et cetera. So, I mean, there's no secret about that. Also, the fact that you play Davis Cup every year is a grind as well. But, I mean, that's neither here nor there. At some point, they will address the schedule, I'd like to believe, because you can tell that the players are starting to get tired of it. The fact that Djokovic has been out there over close to 60 times to this point in the season is very, very unprecedented.
Absolutely, and we'll see how that takes its toll on the U.S. Open. Let's get into it, Matt. Let's get through the draw. Let's start with Djokovic's draw. He's projected to face the 32 seed Dodik, who upset Nadal, made a name for himself in Montreal. He's the 32 seed. He's got a tricky match with Nikolai Davydenko, a former top 5 player in the world. That could be a potential Djokovic third-round matchup. You've got Dolgopolov, the young kid, number 22 seed. Kind of a disappointing year. And then Richard Gasquet, the 13 seed. I have Gasquet, Djokovic in the 4th round, 1 versus 13. What do you have?
I'm not going to bet against Djokovic to get to that part of the draw. I mean, it's a situation where there was controversy about the U.S. Open about the fact that the draw might be rigged, where the top player gets an easy draw. You look at this particular section. You mentioned Davydenko, who's a former top 5 player. Fernando Gonzalez from Chile,
Unseated.
Ivo Karlovic with a very tough serve from Croatia. I mean, Dr. Ivo that's a first-round match. I think that Djokovic, outside of doting, whether or not, I think Djokovic should get through that section. Now, on the other side with that, Gasquet is an interesting character. I mean, Gasquet he had to deal with the drug problems, and he's starting to finally get back into the swing of things. It's funny, everybody forgot about Richard Gasquet. I mean, he just kind of disappeared for a little bit, kind of middle of 2009, towards the end of 2010, disappeared. But he's made the 4th round, his last 2 tournaments at Roland Garros, at Wimbledon. I agree with you. I think it'll be it'll be Djokovic and Gasquet in that particular section of the draw. I don't think that Gonzalez or Karlovic, I think the problem is those 2 players will beat each other up, and Gasquet should be able to get through.
Now you got the number 7 seed, Gael Monfils, who is projected to face Djokovic in the quarterfinals. You would have to go through either Thomas Berdych, who's a 9 seed. You have him in that draw. You got your favorite, Mr. Tipsarevic, at the 20th seed. What do you think of that part?
I'm a big fan of Tipsarevic. When he is on, he is a very good player. He's also from Serbia, like Djokovic. He wears glasses. He's got a little bit of a personality. He reminds me a lot of Goran Ivanisevic from back in the day. He will talk to himself on the court, when things are going bad. So you kind of have good Tipsarevic and bad Tipsarevic, like you had the good Goran and the bad Goran. But, the thing about Tipsarevic, if you look at his results, it's very much of a roller coaster. This is his 4th U.S. Open only, and he missed 2 of the last 4 years, and he has not been past the 2nd round in this event. So I think that looking at this situation, Berdych should be able to get through, and I think that Monfils should be able to get through. I know it's very, very boring that we're picking chalk so far.
I know, Matty, we're not off to a good start if we're agreeing here. I got Monfils and Berdych, too, in the round of 16.
Yeah, I mean, this particular section, it doesn't really jump out to you, but I think that those 2 will get through. I also, there's not a lot of strong unseeded players to knock anybody off, in my opinion, in this particular section. Juan Carlos Ferreira, his best tennis is behind him. Same with Xavier Malise. And then your other seeds that we talked about, whether it be a Tipsarevic or a Marcel Granollers from Spain, I don't think that those guys have the firepower to knock off a Berdych or a Monfils.
Who do you got facing Djokovic in the quarterfinals? I'm going with Gael Monfils, which would be a rematch of that classic match they had in Cincinnati a couple weeks ago, where Monfils really should have won that match. Do you agree, or do you go in a different direction there?
I think Berdych, he has shown, he was a runner-up at Wimbledon 2010, Berdych. He's made a semifinal and at the French Open as well. He's been to a quarterfinal at Australia. I really think that, in a best-of-5 set match, I think that Berdych could really outlast Monfils. Berdych has the type of game that frustrates Monfils. He can overpower him. He can serve volley. Monfils is a grinder. He likes to win the long points. And I just think that Monfils, fitness-wise, he hasn't proven that he could win a grueling 5-set match in a major. I think that Berdych will beat Monfils.
Maltese, certainly his physical condition has been questioned over the years, and will be tested, I'm sure. That'll be a good one if that happens. Now, if Djokovic, of course, in that side of the draw, is projected to face Roger Federer in the semifinals, which, by the way, they've been projected to face in the same draw 5 straight majors. So much for that random draw, huh?
So much for that random draw. Absolutely. We alluded to it earlier. It's a tradition unlike any other.
Let's talk about Roger Federer, a 5-time U.S. Open champion, has not won a major, though, in a couple years. People wondering if he has anything left. One person that certainly is still a believer of Roger Federer is, of course, the ESPN tennis analyst, the great legend, John McEnroe, who thinks he's still got one more major left and is kind of talks about how pretty much it's been amazing what a year difference makes.
1 year ago, he had 2 match points on Djokovic to get to the finals of this thing, and it's completely turned around in the direction that I don't think any of us expected, that Djokovic suddenly became a dominant number 1. So don't count Roger out quite so quick. He's the only guy that beat Novak in a major this year, and I think he's playing well. I mean, this guy, okay, he's a bum now. Patrick, he's 3 in the world. I mean, come on. He's there. I think he's going to win another major. I don't know about this one. I picked Murray a couple of years ago to win this Open. I think this is his best chance ever. And certainly Rafa wants to prove something as well to try to defend his title. Anyone else to have to beat 3 of these 4 guys is going to be a monumental effort.
Your thoughts there on what John says? He still believes in Federer as a threat. He's still got one more major left in him. And he feels that the champion out of this tournament is going to be one of the big 4. Do you agree with those 2 statements?
Oh, I definitely agree that one of the big 4 should win this tournament, no doubt. I think that Federer, the interesting thing about him is that, he had this run of Wimbledon that he won 2003 all the way through 2007, won again in 2009. In the last 2 years at Wimbledon, he's been eliminated in the quarterfinals. Now, New York, it's been kind of the same thing. He had that run where he used 2004 to 2008, won all those U.S. Opens in a row. He was the runner-up in 2009 that we had talked about, and then, semifinal appearance last year. So at the U.S. Open, he's kind of progressively dropped a little bit. Now, the thing is about Federer is that when he plays with a chip on his shoulder, he can be very, very dangerous. Now, the question is, can he make that last over 2 weeks? I think a key for Federer to be a contender, Eric, is that he has to get out of matches early. He needs to win in straight sets early in the tournament. I think that when Roger gets eliminated in the quarterfinal round, in the semifinal round of tournaments, there's always a match or 2 where he goes 4 or 5 sets early. And I think that if he can avoid that and stay fresh and the schedule smiles on him, Federer can, maneuver and win a major. I agree with John's statement.
Looking at Federer's draw there, you got Cilic, the 27th seed, who's had a disappointing year, one of the disappointments in the tour. You got the young, exciting Australian Tomic in that draw. I think Tomic actually will upset Cilic in the 3rd round, in the 2nd round, pardon me, to get to Federer in the 3rd round. But I got Federer easily getting to the 4th round, would you say?
I don't know about easily. I think that whoever he plays, Cilic or Tomic, and I know that you're down on Cilic. I mean, I really believe that he can get back to it. I mean, the ironic thing for him is that semifinal Australian Open for Cilic in 2010, and then he got to the 4th round of Australia to start this this Grand Slam year, and then after that, 1st round at Roland Garros, 1st round at Wimbledon. He was a quarterfinalist at the U.S. Open in 2009, and I think he can be a quarterfinalist again. If anybody could beat Federer, it will be Cilic, but I think that Federer will emerge out of that section, yes.
And then, of course, Federer's projected to face in the 4th round. You got Radek Stepanek, the 23 seed. You got Tricky, the 15 seed. Notable unseeded guy.
Kohlschreiber from Germany. I think Kohlschreiber from Germany could be somebody that, he's got Stepanek in the 1st round. Stepanek's been battling some injuries. He is the 23 seed, but I think that Kohlschreiber could get him. There's a journeyman, Tommy Haas, like we talked about with Ferrero in the other section. I think that his best tennis is behind him. So, but I mean, yeah, I think that Tricky could come out of it and face Federer, but then the experience level, definitely have to go to Federer.
I got Stepanek going to the fourth round, losing to Federer, but we both have Federer going to the quarters pretty much quickly, right?
Yeah, I'll take Tricky, but yeah, I got Federer going to the quarters.
All right, as we kind of speed up the picks here, of course, this is the U.S. Open tennis preview on ESPN1080.com. Eric Lopez alongside Matt Dunaway. So now Federer is projected to face the American hopeful Marty Fish. He's had a big off summer. He is the 8th seed in this draw. He's got 5 qualifiers on his part of the draw. He could face Lordra in the 29th seed, and unseeded guys like Hanescu, Kevin Anderson is in his draw. And then he could face either Tsonga or Verdasco in the 4th round. Your thoughts on that little half of the draw?
Well, they definitely tried to get Marty Fish into the 3rd round. His little pod is very easy. Lodra is not a hard court player. He's a clay court guy from France. I really think Kevin Anderson's going to come out of that. And Anderson's a big serving guy, like we talked about with Ivo Karlovic in that first section. 3 out of 5 sets, though, I think that Marty Fish and, if it's Fish and Anderson, they might sneak Fish into a night match and give him kind of the edge there in the crowd. So I think Marty Fish can get through that particular part. Now, on the other side, who's he going to face, Tsonga or Verdasco? I really like the young Canadian Dancevic. Unfortunately, he's in a loaded section of the draw. It's tough to go against Verdasco on the hard court. I really like Verdasco, and I think Verdasco will beat Fish.
Oh, an American pick by Matthew. So you got Verdasco going deep into the quarters.
Yeah, I do. I think that Verdasco, he's the type of player that gives Fish problems, the lefty serve, just a veteran-type player. I think that Verdasco is a heady player that will outthink Fish on the big points, and you'll hear Patrick McEnroe after that match say, Marty's just so close, but he's not quite there. Sounds familiar. I believe we've heard this about
U.S. tennis fans
Blake
have heard that
and other
U.S.
American players before from Patrick McEnroe.
Well, I will play the optimist. I have Fish over Verdasco in the 4th round, getting to the quarters, but then losing to Federer in the quarters.
I think that the Federer-Verdasco match will be very, very tricky. I think that I will go with Federer, but I'll say this. Verdasco has all the tools to beat him, and I wouldn't be surprised if Verdasco takes him to a 5th set, and Verdasco might be able to beat him.
Are you going to pick it?
But I'm not going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go with Federer. I'm sorry. Right. I got to protect my point.
Are we both going Djokovic-Federer semi?
I think that that's what the people want to see, and I think that that's what the people will get.
All right, so we both got Djokovic and Federer in the top half in the semifinals. We'll go through the bottom half in a couple of minutes. Quick thought, Women's U.S. Open, a quick thought for the audience there. You got Caroline Wozniacki, the number 1 seed, dating, not married. I don't want to jump to conclusions. Dating Roy McIlroy, the U.S. Open golf champion. You've got Maria Sharapova, the 3 seed. You got Serena, a 28 seed. Venus, the women's continues to just be a kind of a cluster.
Well, it is a cluster, and, we talked about at the top of the show about how with Djokovic and playing all those events, Serena Williams is the exact opposite. Serena will only show up at the big-time events, and she plays a very limited schedule, but when Serena shows up, Serena takes care of business, and she doesn't have to play in all the events, and, I really think it's Serena and Sharapova, and I couldn't tell you. The thing is that, with Clijsters out, I really think that it's pretty much Serena and Sharapova. I think a lot of the other folks will go down and go down early.
Clijsters, the defending 2-time U.S. Open champion, out. I'm going to go Wozniacki and Sharapova. I know people are down on Wozniacki, but I like this whole, I'm digging the Roy McIlroy, kind of little karma thing. The U.S. Open has a history of celebrity couples doing well. I'm going with it.
Well, is Roy going to, if Wozniacki was in a sandwich contest trying to get to the green, I would definitely take her. But, this is trying to win in a 3rd set, and I don't think that she has the gumpture to do it. I really, in Wozniacki's section of the draw, if there's a player to really, really watch, I really like Li Na from China. I think that she's had a phenomenal year, and I think that, I've watched her play a couple of times, and, at 28 years old, she's mature enough. She's won the French Open. She was the runner-up at Australia. I really think that Li Na can really, continue to grow the game of tennis in a nation like China.
There you go, a little sleeper pick there. I'm going to go Wozniacki-Sharapova final. We're going with that. I'm going to go with Carolina. I'm going to go with the upset there. I'm going to go with the upset. You're going Sharapova and Serena like everybody else, aren't you?
Well, the thing is that, it's one of those things where, I like, Serena's definitely on point. The thing is that Serena, being on the bottom half is I think that she's definitely going to be there, or Serena, on the top half. I think it's going to be either Serena or Li Na, and I think it's going to be Sharapova. Yeah, I'll go Li Na. I'll go Li Na over Serena.
Wow, Li Na going out on the limb.
I'll go Li Na to win it. How about that?
Beautiful. I like that. That's good. All right, let's go back to the men's side now. Let's go to the bottom half. Rafael Nadal, the defending champion, the number 2 seed, is projected to face David Nalbandian or Ljubicic, the 30 seed, in the third round. Could face Yuzny or Melser in the fourth round, although I'm going with the upset. I'm going with Gulbis as the unseeded guy to get to the fourth round against Nadal, but I do have Nadal over Gulbis to advance to the quarterfinals. Nadal's had a rough summer, but I actually think less tennis for him is a good thing.
I think so. I think that he'll be fresh. He'll be focused. The thing about Rafael Nadal, at the U.S. Open before last year when he won it was whether or not he could win it. He had been in the semifinals in 08-09, and then he finally got over the top and won it. And it's kind of funny, for Nadal to only win Roland Garros this year, to be a runner-up at Wimbledon, to be a runner-up or to be a quarterfinalist in Australia, kind of like what McEnroe said about Federer. All of a sudden, Nadal's a bum, So I think that Nadal is a player like Federer that plays well with a chip on his shoulder. I agree. I think Nadal could definitely get there. Gulbis, this is the thing. He could definitely get there. But I'm going to, you criticized me about not being an American homer, looking at it, and it's one of those things where, what about our boy Andrew Roddick? I think
on the other side, 21 seed.
I know that he's going to make a run here, and we'll talk about him in just a moment. But looking at this particular section, I don't think that Yuzny will pose a problem. I'm going to go Melsner. I like Melsner from Austria. I think that he'll be the one that faces Nadal in a battle of lefties.
All right, but we both have Nadal easily going to the. We got him going to the quarters.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. You mentioned Andy Roddick. He's the 21 seed. He's out of the top 20 for the first time in a decade. He's projected to face Magro, the 10 seed, in the third round. You got David Ferrer, the 5 seed, who could face James Blake in the third round, or second round, and then Meyer, the 26th seed, in the third round. What do you see of that portion of the draw?
I look at that particular portion, and I think that Ferrer is very, very good, but he can beat Jekyll and Hyde. And I think that, somebody, if Roddick and Ferrer are able to meet each other, I think that would be a big moment for Mr. Roddick. I think that, I already projected Marty Fish to go down early. Everybody's thinking Fish is going to make a run and Roddick's going to get eliminated. I'm going the opposite. I'm going to get Roddick through.
How deep? How deep you got him?
I got him. I think I think he could definitely get to a quarterfinal, but I think that's what I'm going to go.
So
I'm going to say that he's going to beat Almagro and he's going to beat Ferrer. But he'll run out of gas. You can't beat 3 players from Spain in a row.
Yeah, he's got to go the gauntlet. He's got to win the Davis Cup before he gets to the U.S. Open title, it seems. I disagree with you. I think he's done. In fact, I would not be surprised if this is his last U.S. Open. I think he's done as a player. I think he was shot as soon as he lost to Federer in the 2009 Wimbledon final. I do have him beating Almagro as one last big win, but I got him losing to David Ferrer, a guy he lost to in his hometown in the Davis Cup just about, a month ago or a couple months ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this is a very popular pick. Roddick went out in the second round last year, the U.S. Open. He went out in the third round the year before. Definitely he has kind of tapered off, but I will say this: there was an American by the name of Jimmy Connors that had a nice little run at the Open during maybe his last U.S. Open. So maybe Roddick can do the same.
All right, so you got Roddick and Nadal in the quarters. I got Ferrer and Nadal in that quarters. And the other side, then you got Andy Murray, the 4 seed. Could face Feliciano Lopez, the 25 seed. You got Wawrinka, the 14 seed, a projected 4th round matchup. Wawrinka has Donald Young, 2nd round, and then either Turgenev, Cella, the 24 seed in the 3rd round. I think Andy Murray got a beautiful draw. If you're Andy Murray, you got to be ecstatic.
I think if you're Andy Murray, you've got to be very ecstatic. And he's somebody that likes to kind of ease into tournaments. He doesn't, play his best right away, so this is a perfect type of draw for him. Unfortunately, and this is the thing, I really like Devavran from India. He was the NCAA champion at Virginia the last couple of years in 08 and 09 and 10. He was, or 08 and 09, excuse me. I thought he was very good, and unfortunately having to play Murray in the first round, that in a 3 out of 5, I don't think he's quite there yet, but I think it'll be Murray and Wawrinka there, and I think Wawrinka will give Murray problems, but Murray will...
He has knocked off Murray before in the major, in the Grand Slam. He did the U.S. Open last year.
Yeah, he has, and I'm a big fan of Wawrinka. He's like, Federer is, gets all the headlines in Switzerland. Wawrinka's just very solid. He's stayed around that, 12 to 16 ranking for the last, 4 or 5 years. I think that Murray, just because you got to get the ratings, I think Murray will.
Yeah, I got Murray going to the... So we both got Murray and Wawrinka in the round 16 and Murray going to the quarters. Now, the other side, Murray could potentially face Robin Soderling, the number 6 seed. But, boy, this is talking about a loaded draw.
Ooh,
you got Soderling, the 6 seed.
You could go so many different ways.
Yeah. Could face Bagdatis or Isner in the 3rd round. Of course, Bagdatis and Isner are going to face off in the 1st round. You got Robbie Ginepri there in that draw, and then you got Del Potro and Gail Simone. Simone, the 12 seed, and Del Potro, the 18th seed. Loaded draw there.
Very, very loaded draw. Between unseeded and seeded guys, there's a lot of guys that I like, and I wish some of these guys were spread out throughout the draw. I really do. Unfortunately, they are not. So, this is a very, very tough section. Ironically enough, when you look at a particular section like this with a lot of stuff, sometimes it's better to just keep it simple. Robin Soderling's a player that doesn't get a lot of respect, and I think that he's a player that, will get through that particular section. Now, whether or not he gets to the quarterfinals, we'll see. Is Del Potro 100% back? I think he is. I think Del Potro is 100% back, and I think that him and Soderling will meet, and I think Del Potro will win.
I got John Isner beating Soderling there. I got Isner as the 28th seed. He's played a good hardcourt year. He just won Winston-Salem. He's had a very good year. I think he's finally over that whole Nicholas Mahut match from a year ago. He's due for a decent run. I got Del Potro like you do. He was the 2009 champion. Hardcourts, he should be very big. He's with his length. I have Del Potro over Isner getting to the quarterfinals to face Murray.
There you go.
Beautiful. All right, so our semifinals. Let's go. Are we going Nadal Murray? Matt?
I think I will go Nadal Del Potro.
Ooh, Del Potro in the semis. I'm going Murray and Nadal. So semifinals. We both have Djokovic and Federer now. Let's go break down the semis and the finals before we wrap it up here. Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer again in the semis. Had a classic in the semis last year. Federer beat Djokovic this year, the only man to do it in the Grand Slam, beat him in the French. What do you got?
I'm going to go with the old man, Mr. Federer, against Djokovic. I think that the New York crowd will really, really come to Roger's aid. I think that they will carry him through this type of a match. I think that, Djokovic is still a player, and again, with the shoulder, it'll be interesting to see. But I really think that Federer will upend Djokovic, and I think that he will make it to the final.
Now, you got Deportro Nadal, the last two U.S. Open champions. Deportro beat Nadal in the semis in 2009. Does he repeat the feat?
No, he does not. Rafa Nadal will get there. What he'll do with Del Potro's not quite in match shape yet for a best-of-5 set match. Nadal will grind him out, air him out. Now, Del Potro might take a 2-1 lead, but Rafa will stay calm, cool, and collective. Uncle Tony, his box, will get him through, and they'll have a Nadal-Federer final.
Wow. I got Andy Murray in the final. I got him beating Nadal, and I'm going with the Fed, too. I think he knocks Djokovic off. I think the shoulder is an issue. I think the 2 weeks takes its toll on Djokovic, and I think Federer gets to the final against Andy Murray, who hardcourt is his strength. He's had a nice, quiet year. He got to the All-C final. He's been to the semis of the French at Wimbledon. I think Murray gets to the final.
I think that Murray could very easily get to the final, but the thing about Murray is that he could also go out early. That's
no doubt.
kind of the dangerous with going with Murray. And, but yeah, I think that if he puts it all together, he can get there. The $1 million question is, to you, and, you've been asking me all the questions. I get to ask you a question now. Are you going Andy Murray to win this puppy?
No. I'm going with the Federer in 4 sets. I don't think he can win the big one, but he's got a shot, but I don't think so. Not against Federer. If he faces Djokovic, I think he can. I think he can beat Djokovic. He's beaten him before. I know that Djokovic retired in that match. If you're Murray, you want no part of Federer. I think Federer owns him, and I think he would take him out. I think the old man gets one more major. He's due for one, and I'll give it to him here at U.S. Open, beating Murray in 4.
That's funny, it's what we do. Ironically enough, it's funny. I came on today thinking picking Federer in 4 sets to win was going to be the surprise. I thought I was going to shock you. I guess I did. I'm disappointed.
Really? Going with Fed over Nadal in 4. There you go.
Yeah.
I think
there you go.
Wow, that shows we great minds think alike, I guess. Last thoughts, Matty, before we go.
I think it's going to be exciting. Obviously in the forefront is, Hurricane Irene and whether or not everything will go and get started, according to plan on Monday. The USGA will do a great job in running the event, and, they're a very fan safety-oriented group. They're not going to put the players and they're not going to put the fans in harm's way. If the tournament's not ready to start on Monday, they'll adjust and do what they need to do to get it done. But no, I think it'll be a great event. I'm excited about the coverage on both ESPN and the Tennis Channel having.
It's Dick Enberg's last U.S. Open, last tennis he's called. Right.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be a great event. You're going to see a lot of tennis, and I think that it's going to be exciting. I think that it's really, the men's game has really picked it up over the last couple of years. There's a lot of faces that have emerged, and it should be an exciting 2 weeks.
Beautiful. Matthew, we appreciate you taking the time. This has been the ESPN1080.com Insiders U.S. Open preview. Matthew, thank you. Enjoy the U.S. Open.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Eric, and we look forward to doing it again real soon.
Sounds great. Hope you guys enjoyed the U.S. Open preview here on ESPN1080.com. We'll have tennis coverage throughout. For everyone here, for Buckman, great job producing. Victor Anderson loads up the video, audio up there to YouTube. Check it out as well. I'm Eric Lopez. This has been a special ESPN1080.com Insiders U.S. Open tennis preview here on ESPN 1080, The Team.